Welcome back, eSIM Studios. Just to let you know, I'm recording on the Google Pixel 9 Pro XL with speech enhancement on. So, as many of you know, the Samsung Galaxy S25 series was announced yesterday and is up for pre-order as we speak. The S25 Slim. Now we know the official name for it is the S25 Edge. Now, I'm going to be putting up some slides or some pictures of the device because at the event yesterday in San Jose, California, they had that on display. Now, I don't believe people could pick it up and touch it, use it, anything like that, but they did have a working model on display. And not only did they have it on display, they had it next to the other S25 models to show how much or how slimmer it is compared to the other S25 models. Now, if you're unaware, the regular base S25 is the small one is 7.2 millimeters thick. 7.2 millimeters thick. The new S25 Edge is 6.4 millimeters thick, which, if you do the math, is 0.6 millimeters thinner, right? So it's not that much thinner. It's basically it's not really a slim device. Now, they've also announced on the 21st, so 2 days ago, news leaked of what markets this S25 Edge is going to be released in, and guess what? The United States market was not one of them. I believe it was 39 countries. The United States was not one of them. So this is not going to be released in the US. However, if you really, really want one, you'll be able to find one on eBay, but I don't think it is going to sell many units, and I don't think it's a good idea by Samsung. When this was initially leaked, when this was initially rumored, I got very excited because I thought, wow, because we first heard of a iPhone 17 Air coming out, and they are actually in the process of producing quite a few of them, actually. So the iPhone 17 Air is in production. Now, that's going to be under 6 millimeters thick. So that's going to be like 5.8, 5.9 millimeters thick. It's going to be pretty thin. I think the iPhone will sell well, but I do not think the Samsung S25 Edge will sell well, and here's why. I think it might have when it first gets launched. Now, they're expected to launch the S25 Edge in May. So we're looking at February, March, April, May. So 4 more months. Now, I think it'll have a decent sales volume, maybe over the first week or 2 weeks, maybe the first month, right? But I think it's going to drop off pretty drastically. I'm talking about in all 39 countries where they're going to release this. I believe it'll drop off drastically after the first month, because I think once the initial YouTube reviewers and online publication reviews this S25 Edge, I don't think that it's going to go well, because I believe it's a design flaw. And let me explain. So, since they tried to make something razor thin, they had to eliminate the periscope lens. The periscope lens it comes with 2 sensors on the back, not 3, not 4, like the S25 Ultra. It comes with 2 sensors on the back, a wide and an ultra wide, not a periscope. The periscope lens is the one that sits really, really deep into phones, and that's what really makes a lot of these phones, their camera bump, stick out, because of the periscope lens. It sits really deep. It has a lot of different layers. So, getting back to the bad design, so as you know, with the S25 Ultra, I'm sure you've seen, has a 40% bigger, 40% bigger vapor chamber for heat dissipation. Now, why would they make such a drastic improvement in the vapor chamber in the S25 Ultra compared to the S24 Ultra? Well, that's because the new Snapdragon 8 Elite is like, and especially with the Galaxy phones, because they overclock them, they get hot. They get pretty hot. And they have to run big vapor chambers to basically prevent the phone from overheating. And with this new S25 Edge, it is so thin that it actually has a small battery. Now, this battery is going to be somewhere in I've heard, between 3,000 and 4,000 milliamp per hour battery, which is pretty small. The S25 Ultra and the S25 Plus basically have a 5,000 milliamp per hour battery. That's a decent size. The new OnePlus 13 has a 6,000 milliamp per hour battery, just for comparison, which gives it such good battery life. Now, the battery on the S25 Edge, I believe, we don't have a exact set in stone number. It's said to be closer to the 4,000 milliamp per hour battery than a 3,000 milliamp per hour battery. But do y'all remember the S20? I think it was the S23 or S22. It had a 3,700 milliamp per hour battery. I think it was the S22, 3,700 milliamp per hour battery. And then I think with the 23, they bumped it up to 4,000. I'm talking about the small phone. The battery life on the S22, the base model, was not good at all, and that's because of how small the battery was. This S25 Edge is said to have right around there that same battery size. Now, it's going to have a huge 6.7-inch display. Now, when the S22 came out, it had a 6.2-inch display. So you see what I'm saying? But the battery is going to be the same. And it's going to have a much more powerful CPU, the S25 Edge. So you see where I'm getting at. Now, the benchmark scores leaked for the S25 Edge, and they were considerably lower than the S25 Ultra. Now, why would you say they're supposed to have the same CPU? Well, why would that be? Well, what Samsung has to do is underclock, meaning they have to tone that CPU down because it can't have a vapor chamber because they're trying to make it literally as thin as possible. They cut out every little thing they can think of to make it as thin as possible. With the device having a very powerful CPU, they don't want it to overheat, so they got to underclock the CPU so it doesn't generate as much heat as the other S25 devices that have, or at least the S25 Ultra that has a vapor chamber in it. It's in such a tight little space that it's going to generate heat. That's why you see the benchmark scores so low, or I shouldn't say so low, but it's considerably lower than the S25 Ultra. Now, getting back to the sales drop-off, I think the battery life on the S25 Edge, I'm sorry for the long explanation, but thank you for holding in there with me to finally getting to the point. The S25 Edge is going to have really bad battery life. And it almost reminds me of the Z Flip 4. The Z Flip 4 was the worst battery life I've ever had on any phone I've ever used in my life. The battery would be at zero, close to zero by lunchtime, and that's unplugging at like 7 or 8 a.m. So literally only a few hours. And the charging was so slow. I think it was at 25 watts. Charging was so slow that trying to use your phone and charge it at the same time, it just wouldn't build up the battery life. It would just basically charge it to stay on while you use the phone. And I have a bad feeling about this S25 Edge. I think the battery life is going to be pretty bad. And I think the charging, unless they do a 45 watts in there, if they put 25 watt charging in this S25 Edge, you're going to be looking at the same type of usage as the Z Flip 4 that I was talking about, with a really bad battery life, and it charges so slow, you can never get it back up to 100% throughout the day, especially if you have to use the device. I think after YouTubers get this S25 Edge and start putting their videos out there, I think after these online publications get this S25 Edge and put their reviews out there, I think all the reviewers, whether it be YouTube or online publications, are going to have the same general outlook or these same general results from using it, which is, damn, the battery goes quick, and it just does not even last a full day. Like most people that have a 9 to 5, the phone will be dead before 5 o'clock hits, which means you're going to have to charge it before you even leave the office, which is not suitable for 2025, may I add. Maybe, I don't know, a few years ago, that would be, I guess, okay, but not today, not okay. So that's where I think they're going to fail and fall short. And I think the reason why they did not release it in the United States is because nobody's going to buy it, quite honestly. The S25 Ultra, these devices are already pretty thin. In this S25 Edge, you can kind of tell a difference from the naked eye looking at the Edge, S25 Edge, compared to the other devices in the S25 family, which is not enough to really give you that wow factor. It's just not enough. Plus, they take a camera away. Plus, the battery is so small. Like, what's the point of even getting it? Like, it's just not worth it. And I'm sure it's going to be, probably $1,000. Like, why wouldn't you just get the S25 Plus, right? If that's kind of your price range and what you're looking at, there's no point in buying it. Plus, I don't believe they would sell them in the carriers. It would be a specialty item, and the United States market is so different from the rest of the world, and I don't think a lot of people realize that. Basically everybody, almost everybody here in America, in the United States, buys their phones from a carrier. Now, people like me, people like you that are watching this, that are tech enthusiasts, maybe you still do buy your phones from carriers. Shit, I do that every once in a while. I prefer buying them unlocked from the manufacturer, but 9 out of 10 people, over 90%, I believe it's 89% of people that upgrade in America, go through the carrier. And if they're not going to sell them in the carrier, you're just not going to sell that many. And Samsung knows this, right? OnePlus knows that. That's why OnePlus put out a fantastic phone this year, the OnePlus 13. A fantastic phone this year. But their sales numbers are just going to be, I'm sure they'll sell a decent amount, but it's not going to be anywhere near what Samsung's going to sell. Or shit, even Motorola. And you and I think, Motorola, what the hell? Look, I would never buy a Motorola again, but people still buy them in T-Mobile, in Cricket, in at&t, in Verizon. people still. I'm right next to a mom and pop cell phone store, and at&t, and they have Motorola signs out here. So, it's one of those things where if they're not going to sell them in the carrier, especially here in America, nobody's going to buy it. So for Samsung to say it's not even worth selling it here in America because nobody's going to buy it, they're probably right, But I just wanted to put that out there that, look, I was initially very excited about the S25 Edge, and ultimately, the more information we got, a little as time went on, a little more and a little more and a little more, it's just, I'm going to pass. It's a pass for me. And I just wanted to put that out there. And maybe you were interested in buying it, as I was. But now the more that I look at it, the more that I put piece by piece together in my head, it's not adding up. It's not going to be a good phone to get. Trust me, you're much better with an S25 Plus. And remember, the S25 Plus is just, a half a millimeter thicker. So it's not even, the S25 Ultra is actually the thinnest Ultra they've ever made. I think it's 8.2 millimeters, something like that, or just over 8 millimeters, which is insane. It's lighter, it's thinner. I'm talking about the S25 Ultra compared to the S24 Ultra. So it's not like if you don't get the S25 Edge, you're going to get some big ass brick phone with the S25 Plus or S25 Ultra. No, you're still going to get a relatively thin phone. That's why I just didn't think this one made sense for Samsung. Now, Apple's should look cool. Theirs is much thinner. And look, say what you want. Maybe kind of expecting a little better battery life out of the iPhone 17 Air. We'll see. I don't know what kind of tricks they have up their sleeve to squeeze as much battery life as they can out of the iPhone 17 Air. As of lately, you've seen usually iPhones get pretty good battery life, but the last some iPhone 15s and iPhone 16s have gotten not so good battery life. So it really depends. I don't know. Just have to wait and see. Now remember, I've always said, and I'll always continue to say, never buy the first generation of something. Whether it's a car, I'm talking like if they come out with a brand new model of car, I wouldn't buy it. A brand new model of a vacuum that's never been made before, don't buy it. A brand new phone, a brand new concept phone that's coming out like a iPhone 17 Air or S25 Edge, don't buy it. Always wait or try to wait for the second generation. Or if you can hold out for the third generation, because the first generation looks cool, but it's got some mistakes and some hiccups and some, we didn't see that coming, issues that these manufacturers or companies didn't really see coming. And so they get hit with a bunch of issues with the first generation devices, and then they iron out the issues when the second gen rolls around and the third gen rolls around. So I think I'm going to hold off on any super thin Air devices here coming up in the future, and maybe a couple years from now I will consider getting a Air or a thin or an Edge phone in the future. But right now, I think I'll pass. So I'm at my destination. Let me get out of here, and I will holler at y'all later. I do have an S25 Ultra. Oh, just got it in the mail. And we're going to do case reviews this afternoon. So by the time you're watching this, I should have the S25 Ultra case reviews uploaded. So check my channel for S25 Ultra case reviews. I got a ton on the way, and I have the jet black titanium jet black Samsung exclusive color S25 Ultra. So look for those. Maybe I'll link them in this video for y'all to just click on. But if you don't see them, please look around this video and you'll see them. So I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.